set, but Alberta ain't ready to kneel just yet. They chose their king, their power was met, but we don't answer to Ottawa yet. No crown gave us what we've earned, just dirt and fire and lessons learned. Now the ground it shakes, the steel it groans, and Alberta walks alone. We ride sovereign steel through fire, through frost. We ain't the last, we're the line they lost. Alberta stands, never on its knees. A nation born in the forge of the free. From the rigs to the rails, the crops to the code, we lit their streets, we bore their load. They laughed at pride, they mocked the West, but freedom don't die, it just waits for the test. The cowboys ride, the farmers rise, 5 million strong under open skies. No leash, no lie, no foreign throne. This land is steel and it stands alone. We ride sovereign steel through fire, through frost. We ain't the last, we're the line they lost. Alberta stands, never on its knees. A nation born in the forge of the free.
Welcome. It's 7-Eleven Daily Summary with Bruce Scholl, and I'm excited to be here. Excited for a number of reasons. One of them is that we are living through extraordinary times, and I am so grateful to be here with you. I have reached out to a past guest and asked him to come on and speak to this kind of extraordinary event, and we're going to get into it because it really seems like it's lighting the fuse, especially in the United States. And therefore, if something has going off in the United States, it obviously has repercussions in all nations, especially in Canada. But this event that happened on November 19th really is, I think, pivotal. But I wanted to get into it and really get his perspective on what happened. We're going to go through some of the videos and dissect it a bit, unscrewing some of that news, right? And anyway, so we're going to get into it here very shortly. Like I said, I'm very grateful to have this guest back. And as usual, I'm grateful that you're here. Make sure to share this out. We need to get more eyeballs on this information. We have to continue to get this and push this out through the barriers that the social media and our globalist leaders want us to be under, I guess, in the walls of their prisons. Anyway, we are coming to you from the this greatest province, and I'm here in Calgary, and this is an amazing time to be alive, and I'm so grateful to be here with you. I always want to start by saying thank you to the Lord for this opportunity, and thank you very much for my friends, my family, and the situations of the last 5 years that really have helped to shape Unscrew the News and myself into where we are today. So I appreciate that. Also, I want to say that I am not your investment advisor, but nuggetstacker.com. You have got to hold gold and silver at this time. We are on a precipice, I believe. Again, I'm not your investment advisor, but I do suggest holding gold and silver to protect your family's wealth It is one of the greatest ways. You can purchase gold and silver through nuggetstacker.com on my website. Go right to unscrewthenews.com, go to the link, click on it, and you can buy gold and silver anywhere in Canada. They will ship it right to your door. 1-866-644-2121 if you have any questions. All right, we're going to move on here to our unscrewing of the news, getting to this big event and my special guest. We are coming to you from the heart of the battle-ready nation of Alberta, and we bring you the truth and optimism. Our goal is to break free from the media globalist mind control. It is November 22nd, 2025. This is episode number 225. I have Thomas Speciale. Calling out the traitors is what I've called this. And Mr. Speciale is a returning guest, like I said, but he's a national security consultant. Uses his platform to expose deep state deceptions like Russia collusion hoax and the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story, drawing from his direct confrontations with figures such as former CIA Director John Brennan. He passionately defends military chain of command against perceived democratic incitements and to insubordination, often labeling critics as cowards or idiots in heated exchanges that underscore his unyielding patriotism. I want to welcome Thomas Speciale. Thank you so much for joining me, sir. It is a pleasure to have you again. And like I said, we are living through extraordinary times, are we not?
We are, Bruce. We absolutely are.
I wanted to bring you on because of the events that came up on November 19th with the six. The video of the 6 Democratic members of Congress. And, some of them have military backgrounds and some intelligence backgrounds. Maybe we should start by just playing a little bit of that. Is that okay with you if we start with that?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
I think everybody should see it.
I'm not going to play the whole thing, obviously, but let's play some of this here because I think it's really critical for everybody to get a sense of what we're talking about. Bringing it up here, stand by.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day
to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens.
Like us. You all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
but from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law
or our Constitution.
We know this is hard
and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
the Army,
or Navy,
the Air Force,
your vigilance is critical.
And know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
the American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws,
our Constitution,
and who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Okay, I did want to play the whole thing. It was too good to stop. But
yes.
This, you know what it just made me think of, and this is probably not the scientific feeling, but it felt like subliminal language, like they're putting it out there so that that it sinks in, that it's brought into your consciousness.
Yeah, they basically said we're speaking directly to the military and the intelligence community, and that the president is directing you to do illegal actions. That's what they said.
That's exactly what they're saying.
That's exactly what they said. But they didn't name a single action that was illegal.
Right.
And so
they didn't come out and say that the president was because they knew that would be seditious for sure.
Correct.
If they said the president is telling you to do illegal orders.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. But they
insinuated.
basically did say that,
Right.
because they said that the intelligence community and the military and the intelligence community is being used against is a threat to being used as a threat against democracy. I mean, basically, they were saying that the orders of the president are illegal and that you are required to disobey them. That is what they were saying. That
Exactly.
there is no doubt in any of our minds. Anybody out here that's being logical, that has grown up, 34 years in the military, 20 years in the intelligence community, there is no doubt exactly what they're saying to people like me, that what the president is saying, what the president has ordered is illegal, and you have a responsibility to disobey them. That's what they were saying, which of course is absolutely seditious.
Is that not mutiny? Because I don't know the word, and I don't know if it's the definition of mutiny, but is that not a mutiny?
No, it's not. What they are saying is that you should mutiny your command.
Right.
They are encouraging mutiny, which is in and of itself a crime. So to encourage mutiny is seditious conspiracy. That is seditious to encourage mutiny.
Wow.
That is really what it is that they're doing.
Well, this is and I know I said it in the beginning, and you and I talked about this before, but it feels very heavy. This is such a huge turning point.
It is
in and I don't want to use the word democracy, because they've bastardized it by continuing to say that they're standing for democracy. I can't stand that your government and my government, they have weaponized words against the people. And democracy has now been weaponized against anybody that wants to have a conservative sort of feeling.
We just had Congress vote on regarding what did they word it regarding socialism? They voted whether or not to condemn socialism, and we had senators that didn't condemn socialism.
Wow.
And, or members of the House that didn't condemn socialism. So they are communists. Socialism is the economic structure for communism. I mean, that's just it. And so we have communists in government right now in the United States. And these people are advocating for the military to turn against the government. That's really what they're advocating for.
Wow. This really is a pivotal time. And I'm in awe at what has happened. Can I share? Do you think that this is the right time to share your video? Because I think that it's very telling, and there's a lot of emotion tied to this video that you shared. I think it's really, but I think that you speak to most of us, that are reasonably minded. So what you have to say here, I think, is very.
I think, Bruce, that the reason that because I see the reason that I addressed it the way that I did to the military and to all Americans is because this was an attack by members of Congress against our republic, and their message was intended for all Americans. So whether or not you're in the military or not. So imagine, before you hear my message, imagine that you are not in the military and have never been trained on what an illegal order is or not. You're just a regular citizen who loves the country, and maybe you don't like Trump, or maybe you even like Trump. I don't know. But then some Congress people go out there and say, the military has an obligation to refuse illegal orders. What that says is that conveys a message to American citizens that that President Trump is issuing illegal orders.
Right.
Because they don't know the difference and have never been trained in what an illegal order is.
Well,
so it was an attack against all Americans. It was not just to the military.
Right.
It was to all Americans.
You just made me think of something else, is that they're weaponizing the public opinion by using this. That was what they did, is that they've now thrown it out there the way that you've outlined it to me.
Message. It's a propaganda message.
And
totally false and divisive, and carries the weight of their authority from Congress and from their military backgrounds. It is propaganda. It is a disinformation campaign. And that's why when you see my message, you'll see that I am begging people to do their own research on, and I just said, everybody needs to do their own research on what an illegal order is, what posse comitatus is, and what the Insurrection Act is, because these politicians are all throwing these things around and they're pretending like they know what they are, but they're actually misleading their audiences because they're not being authoritative enough about what they're saying. And that's why I said, go do your own research.
I think Goebbels would be very proud of what they've done.
Oh man, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to play this, and then we'll talk about it here in a second.
Hey everybody, Tom Speciale here. Hey, in response to members of Congress posting their veteran credentials and what their suggestions were yesterday regarding the disobeying of orders from the Commander-in-Chief and from the Secretary of War, I wanted to put my thoughts together, and I've written a statement. These are my own feelings. I think that they are absolutely and utterly supported by the Uniform Code of Military Justice, as well as the U.S. Constitution and our oath that we have sworn to protect our country. And so I want to read this because I didn't want to miss anything. My name is Thomas Speciale. I have over 34 years of service in the Army and the Army Reserves, over 20 years in the national intelligence community during intelligence analysis, human intelligence collection, and I recently served as a senior advisor for the DNI on counterintelligence and security. I've served on active duty as an artilleryman, as an infantryman, and an interrogator in Afghanistan alongside U.S. Special Forces. This is a message to all members of the military and our veterans. Indeed, this is a message to all Americans who love our country and our Constitution. What you saw yesterday from a number of U.S. congressmen and women is nothing more than a disinformation campaign targeting you directly, specifically military, active duty military, and veterans, but it is ultimately directed at all Americans. These individuals are using their credentials in a fallacious argument that the U.S. military is being ordered to do something that is illegal. That is not what is happening. I view this action by these members of Congress as a direct assault on us and advocacy for mutiny. Advocacy for mutiny is a crime, and it is seditious. Their goal is to divide our military and damage our republic. I am not going to tell you what an illegal order is because I know you already know that. But what I saw yesterday is exactly the same thing that they did when they claimed that the military was filled with extremists. It was a lie then, and it is a lie now. This action is the most egregious abuse of their influence I have ever seen, except possibly for a number of woke generals who called for a purge of our military if they supported President Trump during his last administration. Remember, these are the same Congresspeople who supported the bogus J6 committee investigation, forcibly injected you with an experimental drug, spread bogus intelligence about the president being a Russian asset, the same people who told you that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation when they knew for a fact it was not. The same Congresspeople who are willing to disregard their oaths to protect the Constitution when they labeled patriotic Americans domestic terrorists for if they supported the Second Amendment and they exercised their First Amendment rights to free speech, freedom of assembly, practice of their religion, and freedom to redress their grievances. These are the same people that drove us into not one, but two false impeachments. They tried to bankrupt President Trump. They tried to imprison him, and they have tried to kill him twice. They tried to have him removed from the ballot. They will do anything it takes to stop him, including trying to get you to disobey supposed illegal orders. These are the same people that want women in men's bathrooms and sports. They label parents domestic terrorists for wanting to protect their children from sexual assault. These are the same people who burn cities all across the city, and they are the same members of Congress who advocated for defunding law enforcement and the murder of law enforcement. They are the people, then they turn to those same law enforcement and ask for protection. I already know that you will abide by your oath because we all know that oaths matter and that they never expire. And that oath is simple. We will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. that we will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that we will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over us according to the regulations and Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help us God. If you have any questions about what an illegal order would actually be, or posse comitatus, or the Insurrection Act, please do your own research before you disobey orders from our Commander-in-Chief or from the officers placed over you. What these Congress people are advocating for is nothing less than mutiny. Don't fall for this disinformation campaign. Do not let them divide us. We are not red or blue. We are not white or black or brown. We are Americans, and we are veterans, and we are members of the military. And we are the backbone of this nation. Do not fall for this disinformation campaign, and do not buy into the suggestion to be mutinous against your Commander-in-Chief and the Secretary of War. Do not fall for the trap, because that is what this is. Their entire goal is to divide us against ourselves. Do not fall for it. God bless you. God bless our country. Oaths matter, and they never expire. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. That was very well said. Amazing. And thank you for putting that out there. I said that when you posted it, but it's not just brave of you to do this. It just seems like it's the right thing to do. So I appreciate you doing that.
You know, Bruce, and I mentioned this earlier, I think before we went live, and that is that, you know, I really was so stunned with what they had done that I sat down for a whole day and I wrote what I felt needed to be said. And I knew I was emotional about it because because I think that these people are enemies of our country. They don't realize it, but because they don't hold our American values in their heart, they are a danger, because we know, just based on the other things that they do, that, you know, open borders and, you know, and defunding law enforcement and, you know, all these things that we know are antithetical to protecting the republic. You know, where they had the auto pin presidency of Joe Biden, right? Like, if you supported that at all,
right,
then you're an enemy of our country. There's no other reason. There's no other thing I can think about. And so I'm like so saddened by the fact that they would then try and go and literally divide my military. And people who know me in the military know that I am soldiers first. Like, I literally will flip an officer's desk over if they are not doing the right thing. And I am they call me the nuclear option. Like, when Chief gets involved, people's heads are going to roll and it's going to change. And so I have a reputation of protecting my soldiers. And so I saw this as an attack against my soldiers.
Yes.
And so, and not just my country, but my soldiers directly, because not all of my soldiers are as well informed, and many of them do have left-leaning. You know, we're all volunteer military. There are Democrats. There are woke soldiers. There are, but we put all that aside when we put on our uniform, right? We put all that aside when we put on our uniform. Well, these members of Congress were essentially politicizing every soldier. They were forcing every soldier to take a political stance. And that has never happened in American history since the Civil War, where we weaponized politically our military, right, against itself, like against our own president. And so I was really saddened, because I'm like, I've got to put a message out, and it's got to have the right message to it. And I'm very happy with how far it's gone. It's been picked up by a lot of people, and it's been spread. And so I'm hoping that a lot of people are seeing that. But But since then, I put that out, and all these people have picked it up. And I think a lot of people miss the fact that what these Congress people did is seditious because it's encouraging mutiny.
Right.
And encouraging mutiny is a separate crime. And that's kind of missed by many of the pundits. And honestly, many of our own military just see it. They're throwing around treason, they're throwing around sedition, but it's sedition by sowing mutiny, right? Like that is the actual crime, right? And so at this point now, I'm getting mad because these Congress people doubled down and they have said, oh, well, we were just saying, generally, you're supposed to not follow illegal orders. And I'm like, yeah, no shit, but you're not in the chain of command. You don't have a role in deciding. These Congress people have no role at all in deciding what is an illegal or a legal order. They have no role in that whatsoever. If we need their opinion, we'll tell them to vote on something.
Right.
Okay. But right now we don't need their opinion because there isn't nobody's questioning anything we've done so far. So there haven't been any illegal orders issued. And so for them to do what they did was a direct attack against my military, my soldiers, and it was an attack against our Constitution and an attack against the Republic. And with the fragility the way that it is, this could be a major inflection point where you get some kooky officer out there that's in charge of a tank division that thinks he's going to save the Republic.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because he thinks that these members of Congress are going to support him. Well, they don't have any role in that. It's a trap. It's an absolute trap. And then the last thing I'll say on this, and it's because I'm sure you got other questions, but I mean the other thing that is very important for Americans and Canadians to understand, and in particular for your American audience, is to know this: these people did not act alone. There's no way that they did this message without it being run through the DNC, the Democrat National Committee, and I would guarantee you Mark Warner, who sits as the vice chairman for the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, had to have been aware of this announcement coming out. And he said, I can't do it because my position is too valuable. They will remove me from the vice chairmanship of the SISI if I do this speech with you. So you guys go ahead and do it, and then I'll just back you up. Okay. But there's no way they made that decision to do that without overhead cover from their own leadership, because there's most of these people, other than Slotkin, we don't even know who these people are.
I was going to say, we don't until they actually came out,
Mark.
Yeah. Until actually this came out. I mean, I'm a Canadian, so it's a little bit different, but yeah, I pay attention to American politics, as you probably understand. But, I mean, who the heck are they? They're backbenchers that are not out there in the mainstream, and this is trying to get them some notoriety, I believe, is what it looks like. And again, if they are not somebody in a prominent position, they would not be putting themselves in the line of fire unless they had some backing. Unless they had somebody said, 100%. Hey, let's do this, and I'm going to go right out on the ledge and say, it's probably Obama saying, hey, let's do this because this is a great way to sow the seeds of really to break down the foundation of the military and the government in general. That's what I see.
I would doubt seriously that Obama was involved, but it's their ilk. It's the DNC, and the DNC is clearly the Obama crowd. Because the Biden crowd was actually the Obama crowd, right?
Exactly.
Biden didn't have a crowd. He had orderlies.
He was auto pen.
He had an auto pen, and actually he didn't even probably know about the auto pen. That's the saddest part of this. Is that they just basically just used him as like this. I mean, it's like Weekend at Bernie's. You know what I mean? Like they're running Bernie's credit card, but Bernie's unconscious and dead practically, right? I mean, that's what they did. It was a Weekend at Bernie's presidency.
Wow, that's a good analogy.
So Obama's people are at the DNC. They're the ones that are running this show.
Yeah, this is I'm going to say thank you very much for putting that out there, because it had to be said. And I know that there's a number of other people. We're going to show you one of the other videos of somebody else that is addressing something similar. And but there's lots of that. But there's so many of the Democrats. There's so many of this evilness that continue to be. And you didn't mention this, but to me, they feel like they're putting themselves out there as victims, because now all of a sudden the president is saying that he wants to assassinate us. No, I continue to say you should have a mirror. You should have a mirror.
No, look, it's really simple, Bruce. They will lie, cheat, and steal to stay in power, right? They do not have any moral compass whatsoever. They do not care. They will lie about everything.
Right.
The president didn't call for anybody to be hanged. The president didn't call for anybody. He didn't even name anybody. He just said this is seditious, and sedition is punishable by death. That's a statement of fact. And then they're like, we're victims. Like, what are you talking about? You're victims. You did this to your own dumb self. Like, you did this. Like, he's just responding to you.
That's right.
You know what I mean? That's like that. You know what that's like? That's like the on a schoolyard, the bully gets in some kid's face and he like tries to
he froze up there.
and he gets his ass whooped, and then he pleads the victim.
Yes.
That's what they did. That's what they did. It's crazy.
Absolutely. Just in case it broke up, your transmission broke up there for a second. Do you mind just giving that analogy again?
Well, yeah, and I'll try and be less vitriolic, and then maybe it won't be shut off. What I was saying is it's like a bully in a schoolyard, right? The bully gets in the face of some kid, he tries to bully him around, and then he gets his ass whooped, and then he thinks he's the victim. He professes himself as the victim when he's the one that started the problem. I mean, it's asinine. They're like children. You know what I mean? It's like this is like their children.
And completely deny that they actually did anything wrong, right?
Correct.
I mean, not that I bullied some kid. I mean, I was the guy that's 230 pounds versus the 80-pound kid, and he bullied me, and then he punched me in the nose. Oh my God, I'm such a victim.
You're such a victim. We wouldn't even be talking about this if they hadn't said that dumb shit. I mean, I'm sorry. It's just crazy.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Okay, I'm going to bring up this one other post that I just found that I thought was interesting. This is from Speciale, and it says the Democrats call for sedition, then play the victim. We just watched them spend 10 years staging hoaxes, lying about the laptop, arresting their political opponents, weaponizing all government and media against the citizens that won't vote or obey them, then staging a foreign invasion. 18 U.S. Code 2384, seditious conspiracy. I think that makes sense.
Yeah. It is. And that isn't even mentioning that. I mean, they're advocating for mutiny, and that's a crime. Advocation of a mutiny is a crime. You know.
All right. I'm going to go on and play another video, but do you think anybody will be held accountable here?
Again, I go back to the same thing that I said with the whole the intelligence community assessments being falsified, the Hunter Biden laptop, election interference. If Trump doesn't hold these people accountable through Pam Bondi, then it's over. If nobody is held accountable for these things, then it's over. And I'm afraid what will happen next, because the American people this government is by the people for the people, and so if they keep this up, and we lose all absolute faith in all of our government, it's not a recipe for success, I don't think.
No. Well, so I'm seeing so much similarity between what's happening in the United States, what's happening in Canada. We obviously didn't have any 6 members of Congress come out and say something as seditious and conspiratorial or drawing for mutiny in Canada, but there's so many events that are happening that are leading towards civil unrest. And it's not just in the United States. The United States, it seems like it's in tandem. And
it's all Western civilization.
Right.
It's all of Western civilization right now I think, I'll look at what, Charlie Kirk said. He said, you're going to see an alignment between fascism and Islamic militancy, and they're going to join forces because they are both adversaries of liberty. And so I think that it's going to be a Western civilization problem for the foreseeable future, unless we start holding some of these people accountable for their, and rejecting outright these asinine, philosophies that they promote.
Well, okay. So what happened to me? If nobody's held accountable, to me, this is what I foresee is people have come to the edge. They have seen, the auto pan. They dealt with it for 4 years. The ridiculousness of the insanity that was the auto pen presidency, and now they hope to have some sanity brought back to the government of the United States. And I don't know if we're seeing that. I mean, if we don't see a line drawn in the sand here, I think that people are near that point where they're going to give up and say there is no saving this at this point.
Yeah, I think that we saw that in Virginia at this last election. That the MAGA voter, the grassroots, didn't come out at all for the Republican candidates because the Republican candidates weren't Make America Great Again candidates.
Right.
And so what they've done is they basically said, screw it. Let's let the Democrats make it as bad as possible, because I literally have run into people across Virginia that are just like, when do we know it's time? And I'm like, you'll know. And they'll be like, well, but how will I know? And I was like, you'll know. You know what I mean? And so what I think what a lot of people are doing is they're kind of throwing their hands up with regard to, the peaceful solution, and they're just going to let the left and the evil be revealed. And then eventually it'll become so bad that people will take matters into their own hands because they've lost utter faith in the system.
Completely. That was actually another one of my points, is that maybe this is revealing how terrible things really are. I mean, this is just one part of it, but like I say, this is definitely a line that you can draw in the sand and say, well, before these 6 traitors, and I'm just using the word traitors because I don't know if that's necessarily the right word, but they certainly are seditious in their behavior. Anyway, there's a line, I think, in the sand, maybe a time frame. So, before November 19th, this is what was going on, and then after November 19th, I think that this is sort of the lighting the fuse is what it feels like. I don't know, Thomas. I don't know. I'm going to bring up this other video, and then we can talk about this.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I think that, to me, this is, a line potentially that this is like the literal Rubicon, where you don't come back. Like, they cannot back down from this without losing all face. And so that means they have to double down, which is what they did, and which made me even more angry. So yeah. And I know you wanted to play that video. So
that's okay. That's okay. Stand by. I'm just gonna make sure I say this here. Sergeant Mayer. That's Dakota Mayer is his name. Meyer, maybe. He left the USMC 15 years ago, but recently re-enlisted.
Oh wow.
So let's listen to what he has to say.
We've crossed a line in this country that cannot be ignored. We have sitting U.S. elected officials, including Senator Mark Kelly, now telling troops that they can refuse illegal orders. I mean, it sounds reasonable until you realize no legal order has been given. Everyone knows that. This isn't about the law. This is about planting seeds of doubt. It's a Trojan horse slipped into the minds of the one group of Americans who cannot afford to doubt for even 1 second, our military. I mean, you get our troops questioning their chain of command, questioning their commander-in-chief, questioning the oath that they swore to. And you're not just playing with politics, you're injecting anarchy into the ranks. And that goes against everything the American way stands for. Let me say this directly to anyone wearing the uniform. Do not listen to these politicians. If even one of you follows what they're attempting to do, your life's going to be the one that burns down, not theirs. You'll lose your rank, your career, your benefits, your retirement, everything you worked for. And not one single politician will stand beside you when the consequences hit. They will forget your name before the ink dries on your paperwork. I think we should be thankful that Mark Kelly isn't in uniform anymore. And we should thank God that he wasn't the aircraft commander of the Enola Gay in 1945, because a man this confused about duty and responsibility would have never had the conviction to help end a world war and save American lives. This very moment isn't exposing a people problem. It is exposing a leadership problem. Leaders who are so disconnected and so desperate and so entitled that they believe they're above consequences and they believe you won't hold them accountable. It's time to put people over parties. It's time to put the Constitution over convenience. And it's time to call this out for what it is. Go see all my comments over on my new Substack that's out now.
Well, what are your thoughts on what
I
Dakota?
couldn't agree more. I think that, you know, he's hitting on he's clearly, like, my address was more coming from the fact that it's a psychological assault on soldiers and the American people. And I think, you know, as a Marine, calling out, you know, basically talking directly to the junior soldiers and saying that, you know, do not listen to these politicians because they're not going to be there for you when you need them. Do not do what they are saying. And I think that, you know, mine was for people to be thoughtful about what they're going to do. And I think I just couldn't agree more. I think, you know, it's you know, I'll tell you, I think that you know, leadership is so important. The leadership climate is the success of the mission is all dependent on essentially the character of the leader. And I think that, you know, you look at Donald Trump and you say, you know, look, this guy literally got an election stolen from him and stayed in the fight for another presidential election. And then on the way to that election, 2 assassination attempts. And the only reason he's alive today is because he turned his head at the last minute because God spared his life. And I will follow that man into hell's furnace. I don't care. I will, because I know what his character is. And I think that what's happened is Trump's character is he's basically lighting the furnace in leadership again throughout the military. And, you know, that's why we're standing up. That's why so many of these people are coming out and saying things publicly. Don't fall for this trap, because these Congress people, they're not even in the chain of command. What are they doing even talking about us?
Right. Well, they're snakes to begin with. I mean,
of course,
they're snakes. I mean, they would never be. I don't know who would believe at this stage that they would have anybody's backs. I mean, they may have had a military background, but at this point, when you stood idly by during the auto pen scenario for the last 4 years,
and the forced vaccine,
right?
Same thing.
How can you say that you're going to have anybody, or how can you believe that these people might have your back? First of all, like you said, they're not in the chain of command, so they have there's no precedence. They're not in a position. And then second of all, they're snakes. So of course they're on the ground. Yeah. So they're not worthy.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess.
Well, okay, so we've determined that that something has to be done, that someone has to be held accountable. What would the next stage be? Let's just play it out on the that someone actually is held accountable. So what has to happen is that
at the very least, I think the Congress needs to hold them accountable. And
yes, sorry, go ahead.
remove them from their committees. There needs to be immediate consequences in the House, as the House and the Senate have the ability to impose immediate consequences on these people.
Like censure? Is that
Yep,
is
like
that is
censure,
that
like censure. Yep.
yeah.
And clearly that'll send a message throughout the Congress. But at the same time, I think that we need to do an investigation for sedition, an investigation for seditious conspiracy.
Right.
Because I think we need to look at all of their emails and all of their phones and everybody they had contact with, so that we can understand exactly whose idea this was, where did it originate, and was it ever discussed that this was seditious? And did they ever talk to a lawyer, and a lawyer said, don't do this, or I wouldn't recommend you do this, and then they went ahead and did it anyway? We need a fulsome investigation into exactly how this came about, because that's the only way we will know whether or not it was I'm not going to put out any potential defenses out there for it, but willful ignorance of the law is not a defense.
So is it up to Mike Johnson, the House leader, at this point to do something?
I think for sanctions in the House and in the Senate, it would definitely be the leadership, but I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how they would have to go about doing that, but I do think they should be censured, and I think that they should be immediately removed from all their committees, because their behaviors are destructive. They're antithetical to their oath. They're antithetical to the loyalty to the Constitution, because what they projected was a direct threat against the country.
The Republic,
so
right?
whether or not they get charged with a criminal offense of it or not, it doesn't matter. The fact that they are saying and doing what they're doing is damaging to the country, and it's sowing a mutinous threat to the country.
So are you, I know that you're not in the role today, but so on a personal level, are you following like what's coming out? I mean, this is now 3 days ago that it happened. Is that something that you're going to be, continuing to follow?
I will. I absolutely will. And I am in communication with people in the Department of Justice, as well as the intelligence community and within the Department of War. And so I'm kind of getting a little bit of back channel unclassified information on sort of what people are thinking. But there's nothing decided at this point.
Yeah, nothing. So, would that mean that we might be able to reach out to you in the next couple of days, or if you reach out to me and say, hey, I might have some new information, and then we can talk again?
Absolutely. Love to do that.
I think that this is, like I said, I think that this is such a critical point in the Republic.
Yeah.
This is, I don't think I'm or overstating it, but to me, this seems very much like, I don't know the words, Thomas. I really don't.
This is, I'm with you. I don't know if I can even think of an instance in world history where this happened in another country. But I think that may be because in other countries, they wouldn't have a defense of free speech. Right. In most countries in history, there was no defense of free speech. So if you said that, you would be immediately executed in the town square. Right.
Yeah.
Now it's a great question, Bruce. That is such a fantastic question. You really gave me something to think about, because in every other country in the world, if you did that, other than maybe Canada, UK, America,
Canada, no longer in Canada. No.
But I'm not Canadian, right? So I don't know, but I hope you wouldn't be immediately executed in the town square. But like, if you said this in Iran,
yes,
you literally would have been stoned to death.
Yeah.
Or taken into a basement and tortured, right? You know what I mean? Like, to death. And they would be videotaping it for posterity, right? But in the United States, we have free speech. And, so that is probably why we've never seen an instance like this in the United States, because we have a group of people essentially advocating for the military to coup well, to mutiny against the
Yes.
president, and
Yes.
then of course a mutiny would result in
In a
a
coup.
well, it might not have, it might not evolve into a coup, but it would definitely be a crisis unlike anything we've ever seen in the United States before, other than the Civil War.
Mhm.
And I just can't imagine that these people didn't know how effed up this idea was.
Well,
I
okay.
just
Does it?
I
Does
can't.
it? Yeah, but huh, this is so big, and it's so hard to really wrap your head around why this happened. But to me, it feels also like they're running. I mean, they mentioned the ship. Don't give up the ship. I think that was
Mhm,
the tagline or the line was "Don't
mhm.
give up the ship." But they're the rats running from the ship because the ship is sinking. That's what
Yeah.
it seems like. Is
No,
that
they're actually the saboteurs of the ship. They're in
right?
the ship, punching holes in the bottom of the ship,
And saying, "Oh
and
my
then
God, we're sinking."
saying, "Oh my God, we're sinking! Don't give up the ship! Don't give up the ship!" You're the ones that are sinking it. It's so crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
so crazy.
Okay, well, I appreciate your time. I'm not going to keep you any longer because I'm sure you and I will probably both go to bed trying to think, oh my God, and it'll be swirling around in our heads, trying
Yeah.
to figure out what the heck is going on here.
Well, I
Um,
will I will tell you, Bruce, you gave me a chance to vent a little bit because I've been so angered by the fact that these dumbasses have doubled down that I just can't believe that they're trying to portray themselves as the victims now for being called out on their criminality, right? Like,
mhm.
and so you gave me an opportunity today to kind of to get my thoughts out and vent a bit about it. So I appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad. It's to me, it was such a big event, and after seeing your video, I thought, oh my gosh, we should be talking about this and working through it because it does help. It helps me. It helps you to obviously express and to spitball. Right? We're
Yeah,
spitballing and trying to figure out something. We're obviously not solving the world's problems, but hopefully we can pass this message on to some other people
that's
and we can
that's
all work together. So
that's what we have to do. We have to do that because if we don't, I have a lot of fellow soldiers that are afraid to do anything on social media because they're afraid they'll say something wrong or somebody will be angry at them or whatever. But very much like Charlie Kirk said, we've got to talk. If we don't talk, then that's when real bad things start to happen.
mhm.
And so we've got to do it. So I do appreciate the opportunity, and I hope that I'm some help to your audience, to help them understand sort of what we're dealing with here.
Well, I do appreciate it. I think that you're much a great help on trying to see a clearer picture of what's happening. A lot of my countrymen here
Good,
are
good.
complete morons, and I'm sorry, I'm speaking to the other people that are the elbows up crowd that think that our progressive, out of control,
Mhm.
authoritarian government is. Their duty is to fight against the orange man, and and they're not seeing, I don't think, a clear picture. So I'm hoping
Right.
that hopefully
Because
we'll
they have
see
Trump
a clear picture.
derangement syndrome.
They have Trump derangement syndrome, and they may have had
Mhm.
17 shots, but at this point, so I think it's affecting their brain,
Yeah.
their ability to think properly. So anyway, I appreciate you being here. God bless you and your
No, God
family, and I
bless you
hope
too, Bruce.
that you
Thank
have
you.
a great Thanksgiving if we don't talk to you before next weekend. But if something does come up, if something astounding happens, I would love to reach out to you, and we'll do a quick interview. So I
Awesome.
appreciate that.
Happy to
Yeah.
do it.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway,
Yep.
stick around if you don't mind. Thank you so much for being here. If you guys are watching still, make sure to get this out to your friends, your families, your other social media
And
contacts. Get some more eyeballs. Go ahead, Thomas.
yeah, and you can follow me as well on Twitter. I always forget, and I'm starting to get better at remembering. You can follow me on Twitter at Speciale, SPECIALE number 4 VA. And you can find a bunch of information about me personally on thomasspeciale.com, with regard to the weaponization of the federal government against me, as well as my research on January 6th.
Here we are. We're just making sure that we highlight that and everybody can see your X profile and
Yep.
we can follow you. So I appreciate that as well. That is fantastic. And I'm sure you'll get a few other followers from this, but thank you so much again.
Awesome. No, thanks, Bruce. Appreciate it.
All right, everyone. Thank you for being here. God bless you all. And let's keep our head on a swivel. Let's stay sane together. And this is Bruce. I'm out of here. Thank you so much for watching Unscrew the News. I appreciate your participation in freedom in Canada. Share this information and help others to wake up. God bless.